Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am joined by guest Shawn Davisson today to talk about the amount of credit that Nick Sirianni should be getting for the Eagles' Super Bowl run. Just 2 seasons ago, the Eagles finished with a 4-11-1 record, as they seem to be very disorganized with the roster. However, since the hire of Nick Sirianni, the Eagles have made the NFL playoffs in each of his first 2 seasons. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. How much credit on a scale of 1 to 10 should Nick Sirianni get for the turnaround of the Eagles?
I'll give him about a 7. Some may say that's too high, some may say that's too low. I think most people might say it's too low, but let me tell you why. Jalen Hurts had an amazing season, MVP, almost caliber season type, and their wide receiver core has been great. A lot of, defense has been good. Lots of pieces stepping up there. But let me tell you the most underrated piece in all of this, Brian Johnson. He's the quarterback coach for the Eagles, and I'd probably give him about an 8, just slightly more than Sirianni even, for his role. Brian Johnson, I think, is responsible for helping this offense come together. So to answer your first question, though, I give Sirianni a 7, and I'll give Brian Johnson about an 8.
Okay, interesting take by you with Sirianni. I'm going to go ahead and make an interesting take too with him. I'm going to give him an 8, so it's going to be a little bit higher than yours. And I feel that's about the average of where most people are giving the credit to Sirianni. I know some Sirianni fanboys, they might say, oh, he deserves way more credit. You look at the energy that he brings to the Philadelphia Eagles, and some might say, oh, that's too low because he's just getting carried by his stacked roster. And if you're me, you're somewhere in between with this matter. And the reason why I say that is because although Nick Sirianni has done a good job with the Philadelphia Eagles, to be fair, a lot of good coaches could probably do the exact same thing that Sirianni is doing. I felt like Jalen Hurts would have broken out anyways into a star player at the quarterback position, regardless of whether Sirianni was a good coach or not. You saw the signs of rookie Jalen Hurts looking really good at times. The same roster where Carson Wentz looked really bad with. So there's that with the development of Jalen Hurts. I felt like he didn't play that big of a role in the development of Hurts, but I think that the key guy that Sirianni has hired as an assistant, although I'd give credit to the quarterback's coach, Brian Johnson, how about this offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, Shane Steichen? I think that's how you say his name, but he's been really good for them. He was also an offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers during Justin Herbert's breakout rookie year. And so you look at the work that Sirianni has done, he's done a tremendous job hiring the right assistants, but as far as him carrying the load, I wouldn't say that he's been an elite head coach, although I do think he should get Coach of the Year award just because he did lead the Eagles to the best team in the NFL, the best record that is, and he did lead them to a Super Bowl appearance. But as far as the turnaround of the Eagles, I can't give him that much credit because I feel like Jalen Hurts would have broken out into a star player anyways. And you look at how the Eagles were without Jalen Hurts. They didn't win a single game when he missed action, and when he did come in, he's basically won every single game for the Eagles with the exception of one game where he was barely on the field.
Yeah, I really like your points there. I do agree with that, and I like you talking about Shane Steichen. He's a really good offensive coordinator as well. So here's where you might want to give Nick Sirianni more credit. Maybe more than a 7 that I gave him, or more than an 8 that I gave you. Maybe it's just not the players and the coaching. Maybe you give him a lot more credit because of the hires he made, like Brian Johnson, like Shane Steichen. Those assistant hires have hit off really well, and you got to give Sirianni credit for that because he's the one who's hired those guys. Both those 2 guys we mentioned, under 40 years old, Steichen being 37, I believe, and Brian Johnson being, I think, 35. Both really young guys, young minds, but they've paid off really well, developed this offense. They added A.J. Brown in the offseason. Jalen Hurts is, like we've talked about before, don't need to mention it too much more, but Jalen Hurts has been amazing. Defense has been really good. So Sirianni, got to give him credit for those assistant hires.
Oh yeah, and how about the defensive hire that he made, hiring Jonathan Gannon as his defensive coordinator? That was a not well-known defensive coordinator, but he's done nothing but turn around this Philadelphia Eagles defense. You look at what the Eagles defense has. They have Hassan Reddick. They got Brandon Graham. They got Fletcher Cox. They got Gardner Johnson. They got James Bradbury. They got Darius Slay. And that's just basically the main star players of the Philadelphia Eagles. If I didn't even list some of the players on there, that's because this Eagles team is too deep. It's so deep that Ndamukong Suh is a rotational defensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles. Anytime you could say that about Ndamukong Suh, that's how you know this Eagles team is deep. They've done an excellent job constructing this roster. And Sirianni, although he may not be a great coach by himself, he's made great hires and made great delegates to his assistants. So you got to give him tremendous credit with that. But with that being said, do you think Nick Sirianni has a chance to outcoach Andy Reid in the Super Bowl?
I don't think you really outcoach or out-scheme Andy Reid. But you know what? He might be able to give that pregame speech, the halftime speech. He can light his guys up electrically. Andy Reid doesn't do that as much. So I do think if you can get those guys, it's really important that you get it out of the half and to start the game, and maybe even like the final 2 minutes of the game. You get them charged up, you get them ready, get them to run through a wall for you. So do I think he can out-scheme Andy Reid? No. Do I think he can out-motivate him? Possibly. Now, you got to remember, it's a 60-minute game. The Chiefs might be a better 60-minute team, but if it's a tie game, it doesn't matter what happened the previous 55 minutes. Just matters about those final 5 and what you can do in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's where games are won and lost. That's where legacies can be built or they can be ruined in a matter of seconds. I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of how it works in the big games. As far as do I think Sirianni will outcoach Andy Reid, not schematically speaking, but in terms of rallying the troops around him, getting to play extra hard for him, maybe running a trick play or two, maybe just out-preparing him throughout the week of practice, I think that's going to happen. I say that because where are games won and lost? The offensive and defensive line. What do the Philadelphia Eagles do better than anyone else? They got an elite O-line, and they for sure have an elite defensive line. Their defensive line is probably one of the most underrated D-lines in all of football. When you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, they can get pressure with 4 guys only, and they are really deep at that position. So when you look at it from that perspective, I think they can really pressure Patrick Mahomes and maybe force him into some possible mistakes. So let me go ahead and wrap up with this question. All right, so obviously you're saying that Sirianni, his impact's about at a 7, but who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? And tell us what's going to happen. Who's going to win Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, I am personally on the Chiefs side of this. Like I said, it's a 60-minute game, and if the Chiefs can come out and kind of put the Eagles down, I think that's really important for them. So I'm going to go with Chiefs. I'm going to be maybe a little boring here and go with the quarterback and say Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's going to make the plays. He's going to win him the game. I don't really see anyone else who's going to win Super Bowl MVP for them. So I got the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to say a score of 31-17. I think it's a 2-touchdown game.
Oh, okay, you're going to go a little bold with that. Well, I would love to make Super Bowl predictions with you, but I'm going to save that for this Friday when it's coming up. Well, I'll make the Super Bowl prediction video, but I'll say this about Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles. If they can get pressure on Patrick Mahomes, they can definitely make this a game where the Eagles might actually look a lot better than what people might be anticipating them to look like. But final question for you, do you think Nick Sirianni should win Coach of the Year? And if not, who you got?
Absolutely, I think he should. I would definitely give it to Nick Sirianni. I mean, best record in football. How many people predicted that? I know you predicted the Eagles to make the Super Bowl. Props to you, because not many people, almost no one was making that prediction. So Sirianni, what he's done with what he was given, now you can be like, oh, he has all this. But preseason, no one was saying that as much. But you know what? He made this team look great. He made great assistant hires. I think he's Coach of the Year.
And I'll agree with you 100%. I think he's definitely got to win Coach of the Year. And to your point, yes, I actually did predict that. I actually tweeted about that before the season started. There's actually a tweet of me out there about that. And I said that Nick Sirianni was going to win Coach of the Year. And I said the Philadelphia Eagles were going to be the best team in the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not going to say that I predicted them to win the Super Bowl, but I predicted them to get to the Super Bowl. So no matter what, they've done basically what I thought they would do. But yeah, I agree with you. Sirianni, definitely Coach of the Year. He's done a tremendous job for the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, well, thanks for being on the show, Shawn. Appreciate you coming on here. All right, make sure you follow his Instagram at Shawn.Davisson. He also has a Twitter account. Make sure you follow that Twitter account at Shawn Davisson too. Again, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yep, love being on the show. Hopefully we get a great game this Sunday, and look forward to seeing your picks.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. All right, see ya, bro.
Yep, see ya.
Yep, bye. That was Shawn Davisson that you guys just heard. All right, so he's going to go ahead and give Nick Sirianni, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 7 in terms of the amount of credit that he should get for the Philadelphia Eagles turnaround. I'm going to go ahead and give him an 8 for that. I mean, it's not like he was the single reason why the Philadelphia Eagles turned around during his tenure here, but he did play a tremendous role, so we'll give him credit for that. We did both give him Coach of the Year honors. We believe that he should win that. And Shawn's going to go with the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl by the score of 31-17. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and reveal my official Super Bowl pick this upcoming Friday. So that is why Nick Sirianni should get a lot of credit, but not all of it, for the turnaround of the Eagles. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday That will be for the at Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.